If there's one thing Sony is more obsessed with than their Venom and Mobius franchises, it's getting a Sinister 6 movie off the ground. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 famously threw the entire film off course just to add hints about them into the movie. Well, they're stepping up to the plate one more time with Spider-Man No Way Home's parade of Spider-Man villains who will no doubt team up to take Spidey down before they get a spin-off.
Let's get started.
Good. Follow me, I'll show you around.
Spider-Man No Way Home dropped perhaps the biggest trailer in MCU history that most Marvel fans watched for the first time on a screen grab to TikTok without completed special effects.
Brilliant. Just what we need.
The internet-breaking twist at the end of the trailer came when Spider-Man 2's Doc Ock dropped in to say, "Hello, Peter," confirming that he was back to have another awesome train fight with the new Spidey. This was really what sparked everyone to search through every single frame of the trailer to see if there was any more hints at what old-school Spidey villains are on the way. For my money, there's one Spider-Man 2 villain who needs to make an appearance. Perhaps the most terrifying villain Spider-Man has ever faced. Mr. Ditkovich, the landlord. Oh, he's coming for his rent, even if he has to cross the multiverse to get it. Before any of the rumors about Tobey or Andrew popping up in No Way Home made it out there, Jamie Foxx was reported to be in talks to reprise his role as Electro from The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Well, sort of. If you ask fans about Electro in the film, many will tell you that he's either the best or the worst part of the movie, and they're both right. Some of the scenes with him, like the big Times Square fight scene, were really awesome. Then there were the scenes that depicted his origin as a sad Spidey fan who got dropped in a tank of electric eels that turned him into a Dr. Manhattan wannabe, which wasn't exactly the franchise's finest. Well, Fox seemed to confirm that they will be taking the best aspects about Electro and leaving the rest behind by saying he won't be blue this time. I do gotta say though, I think I'm gonna miss his dubstep hours. Some performances by comic book villains are so perfect that it seems impossible to ever top them. That is definitely true of the actor who perfectly embodied the Green Goblin in every single way, Daniel DeHaan. And just kidding. Willem Dafoe was so amazing as the Green Goblin that his human face was a more convincing goblin mask than the Power Rangers costume that they had him dressed up as. The trailer did not confirm that Dafoe would be back, but those were definitely his goblin bombs, and that was almost definitely his goblin laugh, so the chances are looking pretty good. Let's just hope that he gets a better costume this time. I mean, some green face paint and a glider would probably be enough. Willem Dafoe can handle the rest. Hey, 20 bucks says that he can make his eyes yellow by sheer concentration of his acting skills alone. Is there any Spider-Man fan theory out there more popular than Peter's partner in crime Ned Leeds transforming into the evil Hobgoblin? Since the first two movies depicted him as Pete's silly sidekick who made the Flash's Cisco Ramon look edgy, it seemed unlikely that Ned would ever make this transformation. That is, until Doctor Strange appeared in the No Way Home trailer and did what he does best: screw up the multiverse. Since Steven is messing with reality itself, it seems possible that one of these alternate Spidey timelines could be the one where Nettie Boy dons the orange hood at last. I mean, why else would Jacob Batalon have gotten in such good shape? There's nothing that would be quite so tragic than to see Spider-Man go up against his guy in the chair whose life he screwed up by messing with the multiverse for personal gain. Marvel is usually pretty good about taking their post-credit teases and making them into something spectacular. I mean, just look at how cool Thanos ended up after what, the better part of a decade of hype? Unfortunately, that has not been the case for Spider-Man Homecoming's Mac Gargan. That film hinted that he would one day suit up as Scorpion to take his revenge on Spidey. Back in the day, it looked like he was trying to assemble his own Sinister Six gang. It would be almost insulting if the Six assembled and he was left out. It would be like the Avengers not shooting a text over to Cap that Loki was attacking New York. Eagle-eyed Marvel fans went straight up Sherlock Holmes over every single second of that trailer. So just like a Bigfoot enthusiast, many fans have found a grainy second-long image of what might look like the Lizard from The Amazing Spider-Man and took that to mean that he was confirmed to appear. The last we saw of the Lizard, he had failed his master plan of turning everyone in New York into lizard people for reasons that don't make sense. So I imagine if he does make it into No Way Home, he will have some plan to turn everyone in the MCU into a green lizard monster. It's kind of his thing. You know, it would be amazing if the next season of What If does a Marvel zombies style episode where all of the Avengers are lizards instead of extras from The Walking Dead. Yeah, no, is it just me that wants to see that? Okay. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is kind of desperate to introduce as many Spidey villains as humanly possible into the movie. The movie was bookended by 2 scenes that introduced Paul Giamatti's Rhino. Altogether, he probably had less than 2 full minutes of screen time, but that was enough to show that he would be more than enough of a threat to the MCU's Spidey. Of course, he probably wouldn't be my first choice. I would love to see villains like Kraven the Hunter, the Chameleon, or even a return of Quentin Beck's Mysterio somehow. That being said, if there's one thing we've learned from Rhino's appearance in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, it's that shoehorning new Spidey villains into just a few scenes doesn't always work out. So who knows, maybe Rhino will get some supervillain redemption if he charges into the MCU. Adrian Toomes played on every high school teenager's worst fears by personifying the intimidating father whose daughter you're taking to a dance. Not only did he scare the multicolored pants off of Peter, but he then suited up as the Iron Man hating Vulture. Taking him down was Peter's first big victory, so it would be perfect to see him come back. It would even be cool to see him bring back yet another Shocker to join the ranks of the Sinister Six. He's gonna make an appearance in Morbius, so why not bring him back one more time? The only problem is that Michael Keaton's pretty busy right now, putting the old cape and cowl from the 80s back on as the classic Tim Burton Batman one more time, so he might be booked on multiversal adventures for the time being.
I'm Batman.
Spider-Man 3 is a very divisive film for Spidey fans. On the one hand, it's a film stuffed with plot points Sony made Sam Raimi put in against his will. On the other hand, it has that one scene where Bully Maguire dances, which I think it's safe to say is the single greatest scene in cinema history. In between those two extremes was one really interesting performance from Thomas Hayden Church as the pitiable Frankenstein-style monster Sandman. The scene that depicts him trying and failing to reform himself from sand is one of the best sequences in the entire trilogy, so it would be awesome if he got one more chance to show just how awesome a Spidey villain he truly is. Let's just not invite James Franco's Surfer Dude Goblin or Topher Grace's Screechy Venom this time around. Those Spider-Man villains are probably best left in the past. I would be shocked if Spider-Man No Way Home does not try to connect itself in some way to Sony's other successful comic franchise Venom.
We?
Some fans even think that they've seen Peter wearing the black Venom suit that he gets in the comics after a trip to space. I mean, they really should have introduced that back on Titan when he visited space in Infinity War, but whatever. The MCU could introduce its own version of the symbiote, but I think it's a lot more likely that we will see Tom Hardy's version of Eddie Brock at least make a cameo, maybe in a post-credit scene. Whether Venom shows up to fight Tom Holland or if Carnage joins the Sinister Six, you better believe that someone at Sony is planning a movie that will see Spidey and Venom team up for the big screen sometime soon. As excited as I am for Tom Holland's Spider-Man to fight against all of his former villains from earlier franchises, I'm starting to get worried that Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, and Charlie Cox may not be in it after all. That or they are just really, really good liars.
Yeah, I heard that too.